MLS Monday from Scarves and Spikes. Sydney and Tommy with you on this Monday. Not the Monday before Christmas, Tommy, but pretty darn near close. Like, what, 8 shopping days until the big day, right? Have you done Christmas shopping? I don't think I've asked you. Have you finished your Christmas shopping yet?
My parents, or no, I shouldn't blame my mom for this, but my father would always shop on Christmas Eve.
Right.
So I have to. Like I go out, even if I don't like need to get something for people, I just go out because it's a
Yeah.
tradition that I did with my dad. And he would swear all the time too. Like he would just swear store to store, upset himself for waiting. So I
Kind of
don't do
like
that.
a Christmas story.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ralphie's dad. Mine is done. Mine is all done. I just got to ship a couple things out to my brother and his wife, and I am all done. So I overachieved, I think. But
We
yeah,
got a present though officially today.
what is it? Yeah, we did.
It was
Chris
a Henderson
Henderson,
in a box.
a Henderson in the box, indeed. No
A
surprise,
Henderson in an
obviously.
office. He's got an office now, maybe.
see, see, I don't know. I don't know if that was intentional on the part of the video team to show his
I think it
office,
was.
the title on the door, and all of that. We'll just say it is. We'll
Oh
just
yeah.
assume it is intentional. But yeah, Chris Henderson. Obviously, that's the big news around MLS as a whole. We did we meaning Tommy, Tyler, and Henry from an airport in Bogota. I mean, that sounds a little bit more extreme than it is. The video about the news as soon as Tom Bogert broke it last night. You can search for that right after this show. Just search for it on the Scarves and Spikes YouTube channel, and go to scarvesandspikes.com for the latest news and opinion around the Chris Henderson hiring. Again, we'll be talking about here plenty outside of the show, but yeah, that's the news that's kind of dominating MLS headlines. Before I get too much further, we'll talk about tonight's show. Friend of the show, Cheyenne Foster, Between Clean Sheets, she'll be joining us here in a little bit. Tommy, has been traveling solo throughout the United States, watching and getting a feel of the soccer temperature, I guess, around the country. So can't wait to hear from her. Can't wait to hear about her travels, what she's experienced, and what she's looking for 2025. But yeah, Henderson in the box. I like that.
It's great. Like that's just step one, right? And like all these Atlanta United moves, I mean they're major ones. Like Garth Lagerwey took the news, right? It was the biggest news of MLS, and the Henderson hire is as well. And you combine these two back together, which obviously had
Yeah.
success in Seattle. That's step one. Now the question is, and look, I understand the Henderson thing we've kind of known has been coming for a while,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I said it yesterday, but I mean the minute Atlanta United lost, Henderson posted like another goodbye to Miami. Like that was
Yeah.
clue one, right?
Right.
It was like a Saw episode. He was just leaving clues everywhere
Yeah.
to try to figure it out. And now, but like that's cool, and everybody's excited about it. But now the real question is what is the biggest manager position open in this league in Atlanta United? Because it is.
Yeah.
It's not just because we're wearing Atlanta stuff here, but it is. It's the biggest. It's the biggest manager job out there, and the question is who's it going to be, right? Because we haven't
Yeah.
heard rumors. Is it Curtin, or is it someone behind the curtain that we don't know? Been practicing that.
Well done.
Practiced that in the shower today, but yeah, we don't know who it is, and that's just that's what's exciting, right? And we'll get all the feels, and maybe it'll happen before our holiday episode on Wednesday. Come back on Wednesday for
Yeah.
our great holiday thing. But
That
I would love to be
shindig.
able to talk about a manager at that point. If not, then hopefully we get one for Christmas.
Yeah, and again, I know you, Tommy, you, Tyler, and Henry talked about it yesterday. But yeah, go to the video if you want to watch that. But I did kind of give my 2 cents on it. So I wrote about it on scarfsuspects.com what kind of manager or kind of technical director that I thought Chris Henderson would be. Got a little assist from Jeremiah O'Shan over at Sounder at Heart. I mean, he's covered the Sounders for years, right? He knows all about Chris Henderson. Also all about Garth Lagerwey, their working relationship. And just to kind of preview that, if y'all haven't read that, go ahead and read it. But he said that sort of a front of house, back of house kind of situation. Garth Lagerwey is kind of like the face of the operation, if you will. We've seen that. We saw it with Darren when he was here, although definitely to a lesser extent. as far as that's concerned. Garth said, I'm not going to be the one at the tailgates and all of that, but he's still, yeah. No, but
I want to do shots with Garth.
right. No, but he kind of made it clear that, I mean, you'll see me, you'll hear me, but I'm not going to be really the guy taking shots with the fans, and that's okay. Henderson will kind of be the brains of the operation, and that's no dig at Garth Lagerwey whatsoever, but yeah, sort of the one doing the scouting, the one identifying the talent and all of that stuff. He's kind of, I guess, if you call it the silent partner in Seattle, I guess you can say. Obvious move, right? Really no better person at this point to bring in as vice president, or not vice president, CSO, technical director for Atlanta United. And the two are back together. They had a tremendous working relationship in Seattle, of course, and hopefully that carries over to Atlanta. So again, starsandspice.com has the coverage of the Chris Henderson hiring. If there's a coach hiring, we'll cover that as well. And again, the emergency podcast that Tommy, Tyler, Henry did yesterday is on YouTube.
Good question. Who was the guy that did the interview with Garth and Jason when they were talking about like basically the state of the salary cap? There was a guy that was real smart with the numbers. You remember his name? Demetrios. So my understanding is this, like he's extremely smart with the salary cap, and that's also when we talked. Tyler and I hopped on Battered Herons because obviously they have a Henderson tie as well. We talked to him for about 30 minutes with it. And it seems like they're just acquiring all of the guys that just really are very good at handling, managing a roster, right? And now you've got three real smart guys there together. Now the question hit, and look, Henderson got Miami to the playoffs despite all of their sanctions that they had and everything like that. The question that Battered Herons asked was... Yeah, and they asked is, he hasn't been, well, maybe as known for picking out the talent here, but you can't take the general manager out of Garth Lagerwey. You're never going to, right? Like, he's president or whatever it is, but like, guy's gonna be involved. They're a team, right? If you want to call it a tag team, maybe call it 70-30, 80-20, whatever you want. Garth's going to be involved.
He's not going to meddle. I mean, he's going to let Henderson do his job, right? But he's going to have some hand in it. I mean, he has experience. He does know that side of the equation as well. But I feel like Henderson, he trusts him. That's what Jeremiah says. He's trusted more than he trusts Boca. Understandable because they worked together for so long. But I feel like he's going to, for the most part, get out of the way, let Henderson do what he needs to do to improve this team. But definitely see what you're saying, in that regard.
But he's smart, right? Yeah. You don't want Darren Eales out there like evaluating talent and picking players, right? Yeah. I mean, he's probably very good at schmoozing players and getting them in, right? And being like, hey, man, let's go do shots in the parking lot and sign that contract. Guard's not going to do
Except
that.
For but he's going under 18 players.
Right, yeah. 21. Well, I guess depending on the country, what country they come from. Right. But like, you got two real smart guys, I guess is my point, and you have another salary cap master as well. So you got to feel good about the inner workings of this team than what we were for pretty much the entire time we've been around.
No, absolutely.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. And Atlanta United fans as a whole should be excited for what's to come. So,
well, this is MLS Monday. I guess we can't just talk about Atlanta all the time, right?
I guess not.
that's what Atlanta United Wednesdays are for.
Exactly.
So what else is going on in MLS?
These numbers for MLS Cup have been freaking out, and gosh, they're bad. So I'm pulling up Ian Quillen's article in Forbes, and he did originally publish these numbers, right? This has already been out, but this is his reaction to it. 468,000 people watched MLS Cup. A combined audience of 468,000 people, 50% less than watched it the previous season. Or I'm sorry, not the previous season, the 2022 between LAFC and the Philadelphia Union. So just really
just Fox, right?
I believe
or ABC or whatever when it was on.
Or at least that's just Big Fox. Yeah, that's just Big Fox and Fox Sports, it looks like. But yeah, just dire numbers coming out that have come to light now. Really bad, really bad. And I was reading another article from the Sports Business Journal, or I'm sorry, Awful Announcing, another article saying that, this is really a time of reckoning for MLS. How are they going to reach casual fans? Apple, there's an audience that will say, look, people are going to watch MLS. People who want to watch MLS are going to find ways to watch it, right? For the two of us, for Tyler, Henry, etc., it's no issue for us to purchase MLS Season Pass. It's a tremendous product for what it is. Great announcers, great coverage of MLS. That being said, the linear TV product has suffered. You have announcers on Fox who are calling the matches from Vista World Link and St. Petersburg, Florida, offsite, have no, and this is nothing against them as announcers at all, but they're not on site.
Their employer.
Or their employer.
No, it is their employer. Their employer's not
yeah,
tuning into the game.
Yeah, their employer is Vista World Link, you mean, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's who they're essentially contracted out to. But they're watching from a monitor. They can't really get a sense of, okay, what's going on in the match, who's doing what, etc. And
the crowd.
Top of that, the crowd, exactly. You can't really get a good temperature of it. One thing I'll always remember, 2023, I think week 1, John Strong and Stu Holden were calling a match, and essentially it looked like they were from a broom closet. It was just embarrassing. You could tell that Fox, I feel like hasn't cared about MLS for a while. Granted, they pulled people off the road during COVID. It just never sent them back outside of big matches. And I've talked about this numerous times. I feel like COVID was obviously you want to look out for your talent safety, right? But when 2022 came around, they're still doing it. You're like, okay, gosh, these guys were just doing it to save money. COVID was kind of a convenient excuse to take players or talent off the road. You can tell they don't care, and you can tell that it was just it's good that it's on linear TV, right? But Fox doesn't promote it. You wouldn't know if a match is going on at all.
Was it on Fox?
It was on Fox. It was on Fox.
Because I know it's been on ABC before, but I know that was when ESPN
years ago. But Fox does little to promote MLS over its channels on FS1, on FoxSports.com, whatever. They do little to promote it. And I think a lot of this on MLS too. Why would you schedule the championship match against the SEC championship game? Like, what do you think is going to happen? So I feel like all parties need to kind of sit down and take a look at things and say, hey, we need to do a lot better about this product. We need a lot better at bringing it to the quote-unquote casual fan. And based on some reports, it looks like there's going to be a dedicated window for featured matches, probably on Sundays, to expose those to more casual fans and to open it up for people to get involved, just like it was in the old days, but pre-season pass days, which I think is a good first step, but I think there's a long way to go before MLS can reach casual fans. For starters, you got to do a better job with MLS Cup. I mean, you're going up against championship weekend in college football. Yeah, SEC, like I was talking about, ACC, Big Ten. That's where most of your audience is going to be. Like, you got to do better.
So what do you do on Friday night?
I mean, that's such a low viewership night as it is.
Can't do Sunday. The NFL's on all day.
Sunday, they'll get crushed. Yeah.
And the weekend before that, for college football is rivalries.
Yeah.
It's rivalry week. You know what I mean? It's Ohio State, Michigan. It's all these teams, right? Georgia and Georgia Tech, which was a crazy game.
Yeah.
But look, and when Cheyenne comes in, I'd love to talk to her about it as well, because there's two arguments here. Like I've been on MLS Moves before and I've talked to him, and I've been seeing him and his 5,000 tweets about how this is bad for the league. It's probably 5,000, and he'll admit to it too. He's very angry about it. But I think there's two ways of looking at it, right? And I said this yesterday with Danny, but you've got two things, right? Is it good for the league or is it good for the fan? And right now, it's 100% good for the fan. the MLS package, right? You don't have to worry about blackouts. You can watch it anywhere. We'll ask Cheyenne because she's driving in her van all around the country. Can she watch it anywhere that she can? I mean,
Yeah.
like these are things that you run into when you have this pass, right? You get to listen to the home announcers, which is something that
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to do with ESPN. So for the fan, I love this package, right? And you could share it with your friends, right? I share it with 2 other people, so we just
Sure.
split it 3 C's, and it's great to be able to do. But for the league and promoting the league, I don't know if this is the greatest way of doing it, right? We've been
Yeah.
talking like this is a whole episode, right? And we should be able to do it and get as many people as we can to talk about this how Apple's working, because we always complain about it like every couple of weeks, like, oh, I haven't been able to watch as much MLS
Right.
as I used to. Back in my day, we could watch MLS on Fridays and Sundays. Like you'd be able to have all these things that you'd be able to do. But yeah, it's a whole argument here. How do you make the league more accessible? How many people, I'd love
Yeah.
to know how many people watched it on Apple. But you know what? I'm not going to believe the number that they give out anyways, right?
If they give out numbers in the first place.
I wish they would.
No.
I'm not going to believe it. I'm just going to divide it by 2, right? It's like that
Yeah.
number they say always you add 2 or you subtract 2. I think that was what the rules were in American Pie. Like
Right.
that's what it is. You're gonna subtract 200,000 from whatever they're going to give you.
Yeah. Well, we can talk really all night about this. I mean, and like you said, do another episode
Falcons at
on
45
this
minutes. We
alone.
can't talk all night.
I know we got to get you out here for the Falcons, but we do have a special guest, and if you are familiar with American soccer, you should know who this is already. Requires really no introduction. Um, Friend of the show, Cheyenne from Between Clean Sheets. Cheyenne, how's it going?
It's me. Hi, guys. How are you?
Good, good. How's it
Good.
going?
I'm so grateful for human contact. I just want to start there.
Where are you now, by the way?
I think everyone listening and y'all too, especially, will appreciate this. I'm actually in my high school bedroom in Brunswick, Georgia,
Oh,
Glenn
nice.
County. Yeah, representing the 912, as about as far away as you can get from Atlanta, but I still rep it. That's where my parents live, where they've retired, and where I'm
Yeah,
hanging out during this off season of mine. So,
yeah.
I'm in
Well,
Brunswick, Ohio. When you said Brunswick, my ears perked, but then it was Ohio.
I'm in
So
the
never
other
mind.
room. Let's do this together.
right. No,
I'm
well, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm just excited to be here.
Yeah, it's glad to have you. Thanks for coming on. I know we had wanted to talk to you for a while about your travels, what you've been doing, 2024, what's to come in 2025. So, let's start from the beginning. You're working in Washington D.C., and then ultimately you decide to buy this van, purchase this van, have it shipped to the U.S., and really travel the country, to different soccer cities, taking in the soccer experience in each city. So, just tell us how you got to the conclusion that you went to buy the van, and just how that all that came together.
Of course. So I have lived in DC for the better part of 10 years and worked in politics, worked in several different capacities, but all of them just compounded to really suck the soul out of me. And between clean sheets, while I've never been as consistent as you guys have, or honestly, even as informative as you guys have been, I still used between clean sheets as this creative outlet because I didn't have like I feel like I had any autonomy or creativity in my job. So I would say, what was it? Almost this time last year, I said, that's it. Like, I have to be done. I want to be done. I don't know what is coming after this. I'm not quitting my career to do content full time. I think that's ultimately the goal, but I just needed a different place to live out this existential crisis I was having. So I have a good friend from DC who imports Japanese vehicles, and he usually imports them into Baltimore, which was the perfect plan for us to maybe start in Baltimore. I'd drive the van back down here, work on it in my parents' garage. They've been very kind to let me hang out and hopefully live like my own Hallmark movie and fall in love with someone cool. And I don't know, get something in this next phase of life. But for me, I had that all completely upended because the bridge in Baltimore collapsed. I never know how big of a deal that
Yeah.
was in the news beyond the Northeast, but everyone I've talked to, especially on the West Coast, who import things from Japan, definitely knew. They're like, oh, I totally get it. So I got a little bit impatient and just said, I will pick it up wherever it lands first, which was Tacoma, Washington, and slowly but surely made my way back to the East Coast with the plan of hanging out here during the off season. Then, of course, like getting back on the road in 2025. And while I did not have the greatest or most robust content strategy, I still crossed a ton of stadiums off my list. I went to, it had to be between 25 and 35 games at
Oh,
various different levels. I went to the Big 12 women's soccer final in Kansas City the other day. I mean, if there was a ball on a field, I was going to watch. And that's the plan for 2025. And I am also excited to talk to you guys and really value the work that you do standing by your man with Atlanta. But they were the last team I saw in this
yeah.
season of MLS when they lost to Orlando. And I remember thinking the whole time, what a beautiful run it has been to knock out Miami. And if they had not done that, Orlando would not be here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it was so noble for Atlanta to fall on the sword that way. But I thought, oh my gosh, even watching Orlando and the Red Bulls, I was like, is this, are one of y'all going to the final? So I know that's probably
Yeah.
giving them more flack than they deserve, but yeah, it's been a lot. And I'll open it up to questions. You guys have any
No,
questions?
no. Go ahead, Tommy. I know you had one.
Yes,
Well, we met
please.
almost a year ago at MLS Cup,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you were telling us you were getting the van and you were so excited about it, but you didn't know what was going to happen. So, what would Cheyenne today tell yourself a year ago to prepare yourself for this entire year? Something that you just didn't expect to happen.
Oh man, I don't know as if I would necessarily warn myself, because that would have created an even greater level of anxiety that I had throughout this trip. Because let's be honest, just living in a 5 feet wide by 11 feet long space, the high ace is from Tokyo. It was picked up at auction. It is a 1994 with 60,000 miles on it. It's a right-hand drive and it takes diesel. So those Sprinter vans you see YouTubers drive around and, just know I was operating with like a third of that by
Yeah.
choice. But it did create a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities for me to personally grow and learn. The one thing I would have definitely told myself is, you are going to really amaze yourself with how outgoing it forces you to be, how resourceful it forces you to be, way more than I've always thought I was a pretty resourceful gal. But man, the things that I experienced on the road, just day to day survival, is makes it sound so drastic, but just day to day living was so incredible. And the people that I met through soccer and through these experiences, I mean, I met a guy in LA at an LAFC game. It was a Leagues Cup game over the summer, and I don't know what it was with us too, but I had just come back from the Copa America final, which, by the way, I flew to. I like left my van out west. I was like, I'm gonna go to Miami for a bit. Harrowing, absolutely harrowing. And I think I was coming off of that feeling. And so I went to this LAFC game, and someone had asked if I'd been to that stadium before, and I said, yeah, long suffering DC United fan, came on a Wednesday. They beat DC United, but then a fight broke out in 32-52. And this guy, I followed it up by saying, like, but I've been to Carson, I've been to the Galaxy Stadium as well. Just trying to cover my bases for, like, I've been to LA before.
Yeah.
So he was, of course, goes like, F LA Galaxy, like goes on this tirade, and I got defensive. And then I was also like, there needs to be decorum. Like, why are people fighting each other? And then we go back and forth, back and forth. And then cut to like an hour later, he says he runs a pickup league in Pasadena. And I said, well, I want to make more friends and I want to be active. And he is going to, he's going to come hang out at my parents' house early next year. Cause
Nice.
he was so great in showing me parts of LA that I'd never seen before, and really opening me up to the specifics of LAFC culture. And I was just in awe, because I thought at any other time, I think I would have been so stressed, so worried about things from a content perspective, which we did film and I am editing, but I really opened myself up to a lot of experiences and friendships and opportunities that I would have never fathomed. So And that's
Yeah.
one of 1,000. I could go on forever, but that gives you an idea of it's just me roaming. I'm just roaming.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
No, that's like really what the soccer community is. I mean, you have people from really diverse backgrounds that, I mean, obviously baseball has their culture, NFL has their culture,
Right.
NBA, other sports have their culture, college football. I feel like soccer's different where it brings people together that otherwise wouldn't know each other. And they call it a beautiful game for a reason. I feel like it's best enjoyed with other people. And I feel like, with your story, just the one you talked about, just what it's all about, really.
Right. And I'm very passionate about the game. I think
Yeah.
I bring my content is different from y'all's. I could never do what you guys do because it's remembering so many um like context and history of a team and stats and figures. And I love more than anything to show up to a game and to feel it, to feel the experience. And it kind of gets weird if you are like jumping up and down for a goal you saw scored and you turn around and there's nobody with you. But
Yeah.
soccer culture is that people are jumping at the same time you are, and they're going to hug you, high five you, and then ask you where you're from
Yeah.
immediately after. And I really, really have appreciated the opportunity to do that at every single level. It's been great.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Sydney, you talk about that. I mean, that's what got me into Atlanta United, coming down for a game, right? And I was in town for the Falcons too, and it was like, let's go to this match. And you go down to the old Gulch, and it's just a huge party, right? And I talked to someone online, and they're like, meet us at this tailgate. I went to Terminus, and I made friends. Got phone numbers, like hanging out with people. They're like, next time you come down, hang out. And now every time I come down, it's kind of like a reunion, right? Like every year, like the season's over, I'll be back in the spring and I'll talk to these guys like they're my friends that live down the street. Like that's cool. And I don't see that in any other sport, right? It's just every supporters group tailgate is just like a family reunion, but you
Yeah.
get to do it how many times a year, and it's just so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the balance there, it's interesting as all these like new stadiums are getting built. You guys have the benefit of being in a great location, A, B, also having a ton of parking, and C, allowing people to really party because for all everyone's complaints about MARTA takes you right to the stadium. The issue that DC had when I left, and I consider myself a recovering DC United fan, mostly because I'm like out of the shackles of the season ticket membership, but also like I needed to walk away from
Yeah.
the whole city in general, and it gave me an opportunity to like stop worrying and stressing about what that was supposed to mean for me from a content perspective or a brand perspective. I just go out and enjoy whatever. I decide the home team when I get there. I'm figuring out my long-term affiliation at some point, but I am just such an MLS sicko. And while I appreciate the growth of the league in a certain way, DC United, when they went from RFK to Audi Field, lost their parking lot. And so the um, not like it's not like they have to make extra effort to find a place to meet up and get along, get together, etc. But it does bring with it this element of like, well, wherever we go and whatever we're doing, we're going to make the connection. It doesn't have to be between these parking spaces. And I love that for these teams that are being rewarded with these like uh, downtown city stadiums. And I don't want any of the joy of tailgating though to be lost when Boston finally gets what it deserves, or any number one of these cities. I think of Real Salt Lake all the time. I love their stadium, but it's in just such a weird such a weird area.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that to say, it's man, it has been great. And I gave myself the flexibility of deciding if I really wanted to do the van life aspect over the course of 2024. And what I decided very early on was, oh my gosh, I could actually do this for like 2 more years and be totally fine.
Yeah.
So, and Atlanta's on the list for 2025.
Nice.
So, and the beauty of that there is schedules coming out soon, which I know you guys mentioned in your emergency pod. But from there, it truly will be. One of you mentioned, oh, it's like planning your vacations. For me, it's going to be planning my route. So I want to make sure that when I'm in Atlanta for the 2, 3, 4 weeks, because I have the flexibility, that I'm going to catch a good game, that I'm going to hang out with friends in real life, that I'm going to go to nonprofits or that are soccer specific or organizations, go check out all the murals. I mean, you guys used to have some really, really good Joseph Martino murals. Do you guys have any
Yeah.
good murals right now?
I want to say we have a Brad Guzan one, but I could be completely making that up.
I have to imagine that's some sort of driving hazard with how shiny the bald spot gets.
Yeah, they gotta be careful with that. For sure.
Yeah. Which I think the sky is the limit for you guys in this off season. And I remember thinking earlier this year, and you can fill me in on how you guys have been with your own fandom, but I remember thinking earlier this year, okay, Kuzan really needs to go. But something about the postseason and then seeing him in real life. Oh yeah, I was like, wait. It's class. It's class.
Yeah.
So.
No, we joke around all the time. Like Guzan is like, I want to say like 6 years younger than me, and like is more mobile, more athletic than I am. Like at 40, I can't do half the things that he does on the field.
You're 40. You are aging so well. You guys are both aging so well. I keep forgetting how much. I was about to say how much older you are than me. I'm not that much younger, but
Yeah.
I am also. I don't know if you guys have gone over the hump or still maneuvering your way through it. When I watch sports, I can't watch drafts for that reason, or college football anymore, really, because I'm like, those are children.
Yeah.
That's someone's child.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I trust their judgment on any of this. They just got a really good foot or a really good arm. But
Right.
no, it's like it's weird to have that kind of genius and still be a baby, like unable to vote, unable to drink legally, which is very strange.
My wife always goes, I could have birthed him.
And that's it reminds me of people's retort to contemporary art. Well, yeah, you didn't.
Yeah.
It's funny. My brother, and a reason I have such a strong tie to Atlanta, other than just living in Georgia. So my brother lives in Atlanta with his wife and their 2 kids, and he was very involved in Resurgence when Atlanta was first a team. And I think at one point they were hoping my nephew would pick it up and take the torch in some sport. Our sports as a family are baseball. We watch basketball, but baseball and soccer. And the kid is not coordinated. And I think they're really having to come to terms with that. Maybe he'll grow.
For him to do.
Well, I think maybe he'll grow into it, but then these academies you've got 4-year-olds with Instagrams run by their mothers who are playing better soccer than I played my entire life.
Maybe Gronk.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine I'll probably birth the Rizzler or something like that. But we'll see.
I'm so sad I know what that is.
Right.
If I didn't have 2 kids that are in high school, then I would not know what the Rizzler was. But I hear we bring the boom all the time. My daughter just sings it throughout the house.
Bless your heart. I hate how chronically online I am. I have a hard time getting it done. And to circle back to what you were talking about before I joined, I mean, watching MLS, watching any soccer on the road is really hard. So I have, to my own detriment, sometimes relied very heavily on the internet's opinion of things.
Yeah.
And you would have thought, and actually I've got a good question about this. You would have thought Atlanta United was on the brink of destruction with some of the things I read online. But I do wonder for y'all, I have my own opinions about Carlos Bocanegra, but at what point did y'all say we would be okay if he left? And did you start this season thinking he might be gone at the end?
Yeah, I thought ultimately he was always gonna leave. You know, Garth Lagerwey made it. Well, he wasn't gonna get fired like the week after Lagerwey got the job with Atlanta in 2020. So I see Bruno here in the chat.
We did trade Henry and Tyler.
Right.
We won the trade. We won the trade with Cheyenne.
I love that. Yeah. I'd like to think maybe a brief upgrade in vibes and not being in an airport like y'all's episode yesterday.
Well, at least it was in Bogota, and that's random airport in the U.S. But no, but going back to Bocanegra, it felt like he was always going to be gone eventually. His contract ended, I believe, after next season, and with Lago in the fold, you feel like the two weren't gonna. I mean, I don't want to say get along, but you feel the two were different in their philosophies. And when he was sacked earlier a few months ago, we all knew, yeah, it was always coming. And Henderson,
Yeah.
I think, is the perfect replacement because the two have worked together. It's just that symbiotic relationship that they had in Seattle that is gonna, I feel, benefit this team. And Jeremiah O'Shan from Southern at Heart, I mentioned him. He said, they didn't really trust Bocanegra like he does Henderson. I think that will be a benefit to have a guy that he knows and has worked with in the front office. So, short answer, yes, Boca was always going to be gone at some point. We didn't really expect it would be in 2024 when it happened, but we knew it was coming. I don't know if Tommy, you agree or.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we thought he was going to be gone. I think it took a while, right? Garth didn't want to just come in and fire everybody, right? He wanted to understand what was going on, right? Understand the books, understand the contracts, and assess, right? Like, I think it's a bad look to just come in and fire everyone and then just take over. Like, there could still be some good people in our organization, right? So you got to figure out what you want. And I think that's what it was just taking the a year and a half, and assessing and saying, okay, you know what? It's time for you to move on. You can go find your job, and I'll find your replacement. And I look, with Pineda, like, obviously, Gonzalo seemed like a good guy, right? Like, but it just wasn't working. So it's kind of like the perfect time to say, all right, new manager, new general manager, like, and you see it in other sports a lot of times when that happens, that's really starting your next era, right? If you just do half and half, sometimes it doesn't work out. You just got to clear it out. And you got the most successful general manager making these decisions now, right? In MLS history with Garth Lagerwey, he's able to go in and pick his own guys now. So it's been kind of a slow rebuild, but this is the full thing, right? Two designated player spots opening up this season. You've got a Max Tam player, the U22s, if he wants to use it. Like, this is the turnaround, right? And who can they bring in? What does this team look like? Marcus Rashford's available, I've been hearing. So we don't know what's going to happen.
What? I felt like that was one of those, like, AI, we need to make sure you're paying attention, so we gotta name a football player. Is that
He's
really
available.
a conversation?
I'm also unfortunately
wishes.
a Manchester United fan, and
Oh,
that's the
okay.
rumors. They're trying to get rid of him. I don't know if I didn't click the link, right? Because I don't click every link. If I did, my phone would have way more viruses than it already has.
Yeah.
But the link said Marcus Rashford was interested in coming to MLS, and everything you read on Twitter is 100% correct. So come on down.
Yeah, I'll take him.
NYCFC.
I'll take him.
No, I'm just kidding.
Don't you start that. He's not playing at Yankee Stadium.
Right.
Yeah, their stadium's what, 2026, 27?
26, I want to say. It, to his credit, it's a beautiful ground. I mean, they've been waiting forever for that place to get approved, and now it's finally happening. So,
Yeah, I mean, I really, it's on my list. I have actually not seen a game at Yankee Stadium yet. The plan is to experience it, but I find it so interesting that as far as we've progressed, and I was thinking Chris Henderson's got even looser parameters to work with and not break the rules on or get caught up in the details. There are so many ways in which the league is growing, but then I also remember, it's every single time a new stadium is built, the soon to be home team plays like the first half of their season on the road, which I think is just so insane. Insane. I'm like, surely you guys can't time this a little better. I say that preemptively. I just assume it's going to happen. So.
Yeah. No, in New York, I mean, it might get pushed back to 2027. Hopefully it doesn't, but
yeah,
no, but
fingers
good
crossed.
to see that. Yeah.
Who knows what happens with all those drones in New York and the drone stuff. I've been so fascinated with these drone stories.
I don't think I'm on that part of the internet right now. Gleefully. I'm on wicked TikTok, and of course the drama of Luigi Mangione, but You got to like light and heavy, light and heavy.
Right. You got to balance
The
it out.
drones
Right?
are in the middle, depending how fascinated you are. But
I'm paranoid.
yeah, then
Too
don't get into
paranoid.
that.
Yeah.
Well, so before you hopped on, we were talking about the
Yes.
accessibility, right, of the MLS Apple deal, right, and thinking about you and thinking about how you're traveling all around, and I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong, just let's go back and think of how it was before, right? On ESPN, there was blackouts, you had to deal with that. I could only imagine if this was still going on while you were traveling, you would have to know what areas you're in to know if you're blacked out to watch a game, right? Because like
Yes.
I live 2.5 hours away from Columbus. I cannot watch a Columbus Crew game on ESPN while it was on ESPN, right? But now I could watch it everywhere. So we had the argument. Is the Apple TV good for the fan, bad for the league? So as a fan, and it's a fan that's all over the place, how do you feel about the Apple deal?
I love it as a fan. I love the ability to watch games after the fact, and that's because even before the van, if I was at a DC United game as a season ticket holder, I was missing that entire Saturday night lineup. And now I can go back and watch those things on Apple TV with no deal, no issue. My issue in the van is just Wi-Fi hotspot, finding a place that shows it, and that, oh man, I get most irate about that when you take it out of the comfort of your own home. There is of course a direct TV deal, and bars can show Apple MLS season pass games through this direct TV partnership. But it means that whatever bar you're going to has to have opted into that part of their package. And even then, let's assume there's no other game going on at that time and they have a TV that they can spare, or they even know what you're talking about and aren't just like, like, sorry, we can't do that. Um, that's still an issue there. I think, especially with NWSL's multi option setup, Paramount Plus, Fox. Well, I'm not going to say Fox. I actually couldn't even tell you all the ones that they have games played on now, but I know that you can access it on cable. I know that you can access it on streaming. And I know it's not hidden behind a paywall in full like MLS Season Pass, well, is for the most part. I know they show that. Here's the thing, as an MLS sicko, they always show the free games, the games on cable. None of those are ones I really care to watch. I'm like, give me the most obscure thing, and that's the one I missed. The rest, I don't care. Someone posted all these like messy Miami highlights on Twitter. I'll just watch the game in snippets on Twitter. Which reminds me, people watch full blown movies on TikTok, right? They'll just scroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't personally. Tommy might, but
I just saw
That's
the whole Power Rangers movie was on Twitter the other day. The
oh my
original Power Rangers
gosh.
movie. And I was sitting in bed, my wife is sleeping, and I just put my AirPods on. I'm like, I'm just gonna watch the first, like the intro to the movie, watch them play Free Ride, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. I ended up getting 30
Yeah.
minutes into this movie. Ivan Ooze was there. They morphed. It was great. Sorry, continue.
That's okay. That's how I feel when I'm watching soccer. It's like you take it however it comes, and sometimes it's weird, and that means being at a bar and getting someone to turn it on the TV, but not getting the announcers that you want, the announcer option if you're consuming it on MLS Season Pass in the comfort of your own home is fantastic. But I did catch a little of what you said, and I think it's the issue here is this weird secretive approach to sharing metrics, and the fact that it obviously seems like a long-term deal that because we've got all year to just talk about anything, we obsess over that kind of stuff because we, as people who have supported the league for so long, are in the back of our minds constantly thinking about sustainability. And that sort of thing is where I'm like, okay, it's great the Messi's here, but like, what is this doing? I've got teenagers telling me to get back in the kitchen on my social media sometimes because they're big Messi fans, and there's so many eyes on the league for these partnerships like Leagues Cup or increasing the number of teams that can play in freaking the Club World Cup. I roll. I just think, well, Yeah, but where is that? Are you really getting that conversion when you're giving us a taste or a tease? Are you really converting people to just go
Yeah.
buy MLS season pass by themselves?
Yeah.
Because I truly can't think of a single case unless you're just like down bad for your significant other who is an MLS sicko. Like that's like, hey babe, come watch it over at my place. Okay, that way you don't have to log into your account. Thank you. Like that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
No,
So
but I mean, you talk about just the accessibility of MLS, and Dan talking about NWSL showing their matches on Ion television. I mean, granted,
yes.
not a lot of people
Yes.
know about Ion, but I mean, it's still there on linear television. You just need an antenna. MLS has this deal with Fox, and Tommy and I were talking about it. Just they don't really care about the product, and they haven't, I feel like, for a while. So
Hmm.
I guess the big question MLS needs to ask is, hey, how do we maximize this to allow more casual fans to access our sport, while at the same time, MLS Cup is going against what, the SEC championship game, of course, other championship games in college football. So
Every
just
other sport that's happening at the same
yeah,
time, except for
yeah.
baseball.
But no, MLS I feel like just needs to get really creative and say, hey, we're getting crushed in this area. What can we do to improve our relationship with casual fans, bring them in while enhancing our relationship with Apple, especially with Messi in the league. You want people obviously to watch Messi, but at the same time, watch, Ricky Pooch, watch Alonso Martinez and NYC, watch, heck, players in other markets around the league.
I was about to say, I'm
Maximize
waiting
that
for another
product.
good example.
Yeah.
What's a good final example? Who do
Brad
we
Guzan.
who is I like who have I been excited to watch this year? Man, I'll tell you what, I love how
Dan Jovic.
I just love how like MLS is still MLS at its core because again, the fact that Atlanta made the run that it did, the fact that like I'm s- I, I'm still not counting out team Real Salt Lake. I went and saw a couple of their games over the summer, early fall. That entire atmosphere I was impressed by. Diego Luna, I was impressed by. I thought, oh wow, they're actually doing stuff out here. And it's a disservice for MLS to expect there to be all of this content on the platform, but they're putting the onus on these poor, underworked digital and content teams to churn it out on a regular basis. But then they are spending the big bucks and the big effort on Messi. And I don't know. To me, I feel like what's the buy-in once he leaves? And this is what I was going
Yeah.
to say. Olivier Giroud. I was very excited when he came, and then he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Frank Lampard a lot, which I was like, oh yeah, I forgot these guys can not perform.
Marco Royce, another one.
Yeah, remember who was it? I feel like Philadelphia when they made their one attempt to like spend money, there was some, I want to say he was from Mexico, Marco Farfan,
Farfan?
Fabian, somebody
I
that
think
they
I know who you're
spent
talking
big
about.
dollars on. Yeah, it's just it's very interesting to see the way the league really does still do it what it knows best, which is dabble in success and dabble in failure,
Yeah.
but always in an enjoyable way. I want it to be something that people can see legitimately, not as something that exists on a streaming platform, but that you can have as part of a cable package, even if that feels old fashioned.
So I looked it up. It's actually yeah, Marco Fabian, and I just
Fa-
remembered he's the guy from so my fiance and I were watching this reality dating show, and he was on it.
yep. Yep.
So that's like I know who this guy is. So
Yeah, and he played for Philly and his stats were just bad. And
Hmm.
it was supposed to be one of those like not only are you going to be one of our more expensive players and put your face everywhere, but that you are also going to bring in a specific demographic to an otherwise pretty like white fan base.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. I could go on. I could literally drone on forever. So next question. This is
Well, he was
this is
Jamie Tart,
my
right?
press conference.
Well, wait. So he's basically Jamie Tart, right, from
Who's
Ted
Jamie?
Lasso. Like he
Oh,
became. Remember, like he went to become he was on that Love
Yeah.
Island show in the show. Like,
I've never seen Ted Lasso.
Oh
oh,
no,
you should do it like a
Cheyenne.
watch along, like a little watch along with
Oh
everyone
my
watching it.
gosh. Do you know how? Okay, so I've got you up on one monitor, and I've got one monitor next to me that I stupidly put myself on. So sometimes I'm looking over to make sure that I'm still in frame. But I'm going to give you literally just a taste of what a watch along would be with Ted Lasso with me. I don't know why everyone finds Jason Sudeikis so attractive. He's not really my type. Oh yeah, that's funny. I imagine I would be the most boring person on the planet to do a watch along. I don't know. I could try though. I could try.
Don't knock it till you try it though. Don't
Yeah.
knock it till you try it.
So one more thing
Well,
about what you're talking about bars. Sorry. Like
yes.
I agree. Like people like I've been saying this for a while. Like people forget MLS exists, right? The casuals. Like you could go to a bar and just say, "Oh, look, there's soccer on," and just look at it. And I feel like they missed an opportunity. I know Messi wasn't in the playoffs long. Not a dig to Miami, but definitely a dig to Miami. You could have put that game on, right? You had it on TikTok, right? People were watching the entire Messi cam on TikTok. If you did that, I'm sorry. You should have had it on Brad Guzan.
Pretense.
However,
preteens did it. I know it was like mostly preteens.
Yeah.
right, and you had it on at Times Square. You had it on at Apple stores. Nobody watched it at an
my
Apple store.
gosh.
I really wanted to. It would have been hilarious if I would have showed up in my jersey and just sat down at the Genius Bar, like opened up a cooler of beer. Like that would have been. I would have got arrested.
Wait,
But like
that's another meme for the Chronically Online. Do you remember in the early 2010s when there was a kid dressed as a monkey, leaning on the table at an Apple store with his legs crossed?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
That's you can look it up later.
That's just a-
It's hard to explain the moment it had in culture without absolutely botching it, but just give it a look, and I bet it's got some internet lore you could read up on. But that's a good one.
yeah.
That's how you should have shown up to the Apple store.
Yeah.
And Mary, she's talking about your hoodie. She's got
Yeah.
a whole video like thing on her Instagram of
Yes.
how she made it.
Can I actually do I wore this obviously specifically for you guys and for your loyal Atlanta-based fan base. But I would love to do a quick twirl. Can I twirl for you? In my high school bedroom?
Yeah.
Okay, so I am joining my mom and her, I call them her biddies, all of her lady friends of the neighborhood. We're going to our second annual quilting retreat in like North Florida at the end of January.
Wow.
They all brought quilts. Like my mom makes beautiful quilts, and every single time someone walked by my table, they're like, "What are you making?" And then the second that I got into explaining it, they're like, "Okay," and then they just keep walking. So, but I loved the idea of your Atlanta 404 kit, but I felt like it was just so, I laughed because I'm like, it's so busy. And then look at this, trying to get in frame. So yeah, so I chopped the ATL part off. I'm assuming you can see.
Yes.
I tried to blur out my screen a little bit, again, on account of the messiness of my room. Obviously cut the patch out. I used an old sweatshirt for this part, and then I kept the stripe. If you can see, cut those into, where am I? Cut those into my sleeves. And then for anyone who gets close enough to look or ends up wearing it, if I give it away, you've got aliens in the hood. So I felt like that was even before we moved to Georgia, my brother had such great taste in music. And I remember listening to Outkast's first albums with him and being just absolutely blown away. And I felt like it was a jersey I wasn't so committed to that if I botched it, I would be sad. So, but I'm hoping this kind of practice and stuff that I've loved to do my entire life, sewing and creating things that way, is hopefully what I'll have some time to do in the next 10 weeks. So
So no.
Oh,
while we're
well,
on the,
let me just sorry, real quick. Let me just finish my thought here about it. But yeah, like people forget that MLS exists, right? Like we know it's there, but a lot.
Oh
of
yeah,
people
I
don't
forgot
know
in the
it's
middle
there.
of that sentence. I'm sorry. We
right?
interrupted
Like,
you and then forgot about MLS.
Like
Sorry.
you see the WNBA growing, right? Like, and it's beyond
Mhm.
Caitlin Clark as well. Like, she's obviously helped it, but it's on all the time. During the summer, it's on every other day on ESPN. You know it's there. You go to your local restaurant, there's probably a good chance it's on one of those TVs. And just watching it a little bit can get someone interested. Watch a kid seeing it and get interested, and you don't have that, right? And you talk about how terrible Fox is and how random it is, but just remember what it was like before. I understand it wasn't the best, but you had the Sunday games on ESPN, right? On big ESPN. You had some random games in the summer on Fox or ABC, whatever you had. After the World Cup, Atlanta United versus Red Bulls or Atlanta United versus Seattle, right? You have these games leading into it to help it grow. But because you don't have those relationships or you don't have a great relationship with Fox, it's there. They showed a few playoff games and a few Leagues Cup games. It's not big enough, right, to see it. And
Mhm.
like I watch WWE on Fox or whatever. They never once advertise an MLS game on there. Everything else that Fox has, right? Women's college basketball, they would advertise that. Every sport possible, they would advertise during that, but not MLS. And that's the problem. And like you said, like I've gone to bars around here. There's not a single bar that has the MLS package on DirecTV. They're not paying for that, right? A lot of these bars that we go to don't make enough money to say, I'm opting into that because we got a big people going in to watch that.
Yeah.
They've got to be able to figure that out. If you want to have it on there, fine, but you need to get yourself a stronger deal to be able to at least get it out there on normal television, right? And give those good games to them. Like I know you want the exclusive watch game 1 of the playoffs for Messi on there, but games 2 or 3 were not on Fox. And like I feel like I understand you're giving it to your partner, but it's for the good of the game, right?
Right.
And it's just you get people at the bars watching it. You could talk about that. I loved going whenever there's a game on ESPN. I would tell my friends, let's go out and watch it because it's special. It's on Sunday, right? When Atlanta was riding the
Mhm.
winning train for a couple years, it felt like they were on ESPN nonstop.
Yeah.
So every time we'd go out and watch it, like that was a fun
Yeah.
thing to do. I can't. I don't even remember seeing MLS since the Apple deals come on be on TV anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And it's tough too because I think the incentive for teams on top of all the other things they're having to do to like work with bars in their area to get those things done still would require a heavy lift to get your supporter section involved and to get that constant conversation or communication loop going. And I have noticed there are MLS teams that do that noticeably in their respective area, but that doesn't help me when I'm in Denver, Colorado, wanting to watch Atlanta play Miami. They're like,
Yeah.
well, what does that have to do with Denver? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to watch the Rapids. I would like to watch a different game. Please just let me watch one different game. And then you kind of have to explain yourself, and it's silly when it's just you. So there has been again the rare joy in meeting and making relationships with others at bars when we're both like, did we both come to watch this weird obscure game? But it's not growing the game, to your point.
Yeah.
So
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I feel like we can have a conversation about this for
Hours.
hours, but something needs to change. I feel like something definitely needs to change sooner rather than later.
Hire us,
yeah,
MLS. I know you're watching this
Yeah.
right now,
Someone
right?
from the league was
Tim
just
Tim
watching this.
Cook, you're watching it. Sydney told me who Tim Cook was about a month ago, and I'll
Yeah.
never forget his name now. So Tim Cook, I know you're watching right now. Just hook us up with the iPhones, and we'll give you all the news that we need.
yeah, yeah. Please, it's the
Yeah.
least you could do.
Right.
So we don't
Yeah.
want to get you out of here before talking a little kid talk. I know you were showing yours
Oh
earlier, but
yes.
San Diego FC, of course, coming in the league in 2025. By the way, are you going to one of their matches next year?
Oh, absolutely. I'm bummed that it's not in a way that I could do like their first game
Yeah.
because I did St. Louis's first game in their stadium and it was incredible.
Yeah, but
There have been some really great experiences I've had in that regard, but I'm okay holding off. To give you some really quick context, I worked for a campaign consulting firm in 2018. Left DC for the cycle. I was based out of Kansas City, but to end the cycle, I managed a field program of about 150 people in San Diego for a citywide ballot initiative that, if passed, would have redeveloped this entire Mission Valley area where the Chargers were before they left, where the Padres used to play in that same stadium, and work with San Diego State to create this like mixed use space, a whole entire like business and economic redevelopment, and it would have brought a soccer stadium. It was something that these developers were going to pay for and then give to San Diego State to manage, kind of like Snapdragon with
Yeah.
San Diego State and oh my gosh, the Wave do right now. The thing is, I don't think, well, I have a whole host of reasons why I don't think that it succeeded. The one thing I did do that I'll never forget was spend almost every working day for 2 months with Landon Donovan, who had volunteered to work on the campaign. And that was very interesting. But I think because of the momentum that the soccer side of that campaign got, it was shortly thereafter that a conversation was had to start the Loyal. And
Yeah.
I'll plug my podcast episode I did with Andrew Vasiliadis, the
Yeah.
former chairman of San Diego Loyal.
Yep.
But if you add that and consume a couple of other things that he has done, talking about what they did at the Loyal, you very quickly come to realize one thing that I learned over and over and over again when I was on the road, and that is that there are a lot of USL teams that deserve some respect and that I really want to thrive in this country.
Yeah.
And I think Major League Soccer on this quest, and I said it in the podcast, on this quest to be taken seriously, are not doing the best job of developing the kind of community that USL teams really have to rely on in order to just survive. And when I think about walking away from my DC United fandom, I have to admit to myself, like, okay, DC was really great from the start, but if we were to start the league over right now, I don't think that they would make the cut if Pro Rel was a thing. I don't think they'd make the cut the entire time the entire time that I was a season ticket holder there. That's another thing that I had an existential crisis about, because I was like, this is so expensive for what? For
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
But all that to say, I hope the best for them, but I think that just because they are bigger and better for being in a different, the highest league of American soccer here, just because they're there doesn't mean that they are what you should choose to support over what is local, like local to you. And I think that's where we can do a better job of building the game in spaces where people don't live in major cities.
Yeah.
And I hope that they do well, but I am not super pleased with their rollout,
Yeah.
nor am I pleased with the jersey. The jersey looks like what I would make if I had gained a little bit of weight from like the actual game worn collection, and I was looking to give myself a bit of breath. So you like
Yeah.
hem the sides and add 2 inches of fabric, and you're like, I'm gonna give it a pop of color. That's what it looks like to me.
So I'm not a fan of the SDFC kit, you're saying?
Oh, you've got it up there. Yeah, it looks like someone sliced your sides and you're about to bleed out, but you took a picture. You took a picture first.
I didn't
It's
see that
not.
ad before. I always saw the plain one.
Oh,
Is it DirecTV?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's
yeah.
your kit sponsor.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, DirecTV as your kit sponsor. I mean, like, who watches LA TV anyway?
Do you want to watch 2 games? No, DirecTV is who has that silly package.
That's
Where would we be without them?
right.
Stuck on MLS season pass.
Yeah,
Having to
no
watch
doubt.
Ted Lasso after a game's over.
No doubt.
That's okay. Wait, I know I'm rambling, but one thing I will say about the TV thing is I do not enjoy. Maybe it'll grow on me. I do not enjoy the wraparound show. I don't enjoy the cut to when goals happen, because I think that gives a very like FIFA-esque doesn't know ball approach to the game. Like, okay, the game is only enjoyable when goals are being scored. And then whatever CBS is doing with their morning show also kind of contributes to that. Like, I'm going to pick and choose from where I want in terms of soccer, but I'm never really going to get deep enough to appreciate American soccer, because it does take a few layers of peeling away in order to truly appreciate the league. Because sorry to everyone, Don Garber especially, the league is just not where it like they want it to be. I don't care if Messi is here. It's not there. So
Yeah. I mean, Kevin Egan, good friend of the show. I feel like
so
he does a
great.
great. Yeah, absolutely. The whole
Yes,
cast is great.
yes. I think
will say that.
he and it's honestly, I never realized it until meeting Landon, that it is actually really hard. Wait, this was so mean. It's hard to have a personality. It's hard to have a personality, and it's especially hard to have one on TV. And it's
Yeah.
not fit for everybody. So,
Yeah.
like Dax
sure.
McCarty, I wish him the best with his post-career endeavor. I think that they did a really good job of getting Bradley Wright Phillips in there, and there's some other players that I've watched attempt it. But I just feel like they're not yet at a place with the format that I'm really enjoying it as someone who does want to dig a little deeper.
Yeah. Maybe room
That's
for
fair.
tweaking maybe in 2025 and beyond. So yeah, we'll see. So there's San Diego's, and then
What else you got?
Inter
We're doing
Miami. And by the way, other teams will release. We think Atlanta will release one 2025, but Inter Miami released there's the Fortitude kit and black and
okay.
pink, some gray.
So I made, and it's long gone down the chute of my own page on social media, but on Instagram I made a reel about just truly how like phoned in it seems like. And these jerseys are decided a couple years in advance.
Yeah.
So you can tell that the jerseys that are coming out, and maybe next year will change. It's just from an era of Miami where they were not doing well.
Right.
Miami used to suck. Can we all take a moment to remember how much Miami used to absolutely suck? Like in every way.
Diego Alonso days. The first.
Oh my gosh. I
think that's his name.
Yeah. R.I.P. Or Pizarro. I like drafted Pizarro to my fantasy league thinking like, oh yeah, he seems like he can. No, they were at the bottom.
Yeah.
Misspending, misdoing, and now from what I understand, although I haven't experienced it myself, is they're just bombarded. Their front office is so bombarded with so much. I mean, we still haven't gotten to the bottom of why Taylor Twellman got in that physical altercation with someone. And my immediate thought was like, sure, it wasn't specifically Inter Miami staff that was there. They had to hire a contractor for that sort of in-house thing. So you can't imagine how many contractors they are hiring, and people like us who do fan content and put in a lot of time and effort who have just like been completely ignored because the team has bigger fish to fry. Which is, I understand, but it's unfortunate. And as to this kit, I understand, but it's unfortunate. I get the two-tone, but I don't like it. But also, mobility exercise for anyone 40 and older, you should be able to crouch like that. Can you guys crouch like that?
No.
You would have to help me up.
Yeah. Okay.
I will, but just know I will be looking down on you when I do it. No, mobility is important. You wanna be just fit enough to be able to not feel hypocritical about yelling at your boys on the field come February. So
yeah.
They're getting 3 kits. They're getting 3. I know we got to go here in a few, but like they're getting 3, which is ridiculous. And I'm sorry, but I've been ranting about this for years. How do you not release these kits? I understand the season just ends, but it's before Christmas. You want people to be able to ask for them, right? Some people can't afford it, and people always go like, what do you want for Christmas? And I would say a kit. And like, I understand it's only the replica that they're releasing right now, but like, it's little things about the league that we keep talking about that they have. And breaking the rules and giving someone 3 just because you're going to make a bunch of money off of it just seems silly to me. I mean, I don't want them to release, a home and away every single year, right? That gets expensive for a fan that, has obsessions with like having
an
all
addiction.
The kits. Right. I've got a whole thing. I got a whole two level thing of jerseys here, but like, come on, 3. It just seems silly to me.
Yeah, I feel that deeply. You have no idea. Because the thing that makes me irate about that specifically is that it's not a jersey that I would foam at the mouth over. If they were 3 bomb jerseys, I'd be like, yeah,
Right.
okay. No,
Yeah.
they're not. And they're never going to be MLS until you get your head out of your rear. That's another thing about USL. Every level of USL and NWSL's kits, come on. If you want to invest in some real quality fashion pieces that support your fandom, you got to go look at some of those other leagues.
We need you back with Tyler. We're just gonna sit down for like 2 hours to solve all the league's problems in one night.
And it'll be just like my Ted Lasso
Future
watch along.
episode. Yeah.
Ugh, that sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
Still in my high school bedroom.
Yeah.
You guys, I want to say one thing before you finish. You guys have done such an awesome job covering this team and this league this
Thank you.
year. I really enjoy listening to you guys. I think I'm so jealous of the relationship that you have. Doing things alone is great because I don't have to schedule, but it does get lonely, and it's nice to. I can't imagine how nice it is to have a partnership like you guys have in the way that you approach something that you do and do really well.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Appreciate
We
it.
do the best we can with what we have, and no, definitely appreciate your content. Traveling around,
Ooh,
different soccer cities. No, we'll definitely be looking forward to you coming to Atlanta next year.
yes. I'll
But
give you a tour of the van for sure.
Yeah, we would love that. So I guess people
Well,
who
one more question. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
go
one
ahead.
more question before
I'll
I
be quick.
forget. When you told me about the van, right? I thought about this on my way home from Columbus to Cleveland. Like, where do you shower?
Oh my gosh. Wait, do you follow me on
I don't know if
Instagram?
that's like too deep of a question. I do, but I don't remember seeing it. Well, obviously I do. I watched your whole.
No,
I watched the
this
whole
was a
thing. I don't
bit.
remember seeing that.
Yeah.
This was a bit because my running joke on Instagram was like, I've never had this many grown men ask me where I shower, and it's never given me a bigger ick.
I'm sorry, but like,
no, it's okay.
I
It's
take
okay.
2 showers a day, so just thinking about not being able
So
to like have
okay,
access to one.
this is another one because I love, again, this is a learning moment for us all. Because
It's not
when
a
you
creepy
say that,
question. Now you
no,
made me paranoid that
totally
I'm being a
fine.
creeper.
Well, the funny thing is when people say that and then they justify why they ask, it's because just their interest in, oh, like what would I do in that situation?
Right.
Yeah.
You are not the first person that's followed up by saying, look, I take 2 showers a day, because however I answer and even if I don't address how often I shower, you have it in everyone's mind now that I definitely don't shower twice a day. Do I shower even once a day? I don't know. But now it's on
I haven't
everyone's
yet
mind.
today. Well, everybody can know I haven't showered yet today. That's why I got this hat
Yeah.
on.
No, one thing about van life that is a huge aspect of this, and I'm still trying to figure out how much of it I want to incorporate into my journey, just because it's
Yeah.
drastically different from just enjoying soccer and being in communities, is I am not the only, and I can point them out real easy, Planet Fitness member who walks in to do their, like, I'm gonna do 15 minutes of cardio just so I can go take a shower. So I call it Purple Mecca. I have a love-hate relationship with Planet Fitness. I know that after all of this is over in 26, 27, I will be treating myself to the bougiest white girl Pilates studio you ever saw. I want to be pampered. But right now, like the roughing it, it's a Planet Fitness. It's a Planet Fitness with shower shoes.
Right.
You guys are the only
My wife
people I'm going to tell this
predicted that's
to.
what it was. She
Yeah.
told me, she's like, she probably got a Planet Fitness.
Right.
I didn't know it existed. She explained
Right.
it to me and how it all works. I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. She said there's just like a straight shower pass.
Yeah. What she also should have done was thought, like, that's our guess, but we'll never know. We should never ask Cheyenne. Nobody else asked me that question. That's the nicest I've ever answered it, by the way. And
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry.
appreciate and respect you. No, you're fine. I know you. But
Right.
imagine like people sliding into
The
your
stranger
DMs
online. Yeah.
How do
with
you
that question.
shower?
Yeah.
After this,
Well, yeah,
after
because
this, I'm
creepers
gonna
on the webs.
Yeah.
yes, and after this, I'm gonna DM you the reel, because I truly it was super tongue in cheek, and it was funny. It was funny how people were responding, because they're like, oh yeah, I guess how she showers doesn't really matter.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
clean. I'm clean. As clean as I need to be.
Yeah.
So, but you'll know when my hair is unwashed. You'll
Right.
see that in the videos, and that you just gotta pretend you don't know. That's when I'm grateful for like an 85% male audience, because I'm like, you guys can't tell if I don't have makeup on.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You guys can't tell if my hair is unwashed. Like, you guys don't know, and you guys don't care.
Right.
And that's beautiful. That's exactly
Yeah.
how I want it. So, okay, something about the Falcons. That speaking of, I assume the franchise is as depressing as it always is.
Well,
We're about to start in
last few
15
weeks
minutes.
Last few weeks it has been. That's Tommy.
Yeah.
Been okay. It's been okay.
Just
Yeah, it's been all
okay. Like, they've kind of slipped in the past few weeks. Tommy will tell you. I'm a Bills fan. I hope this is our year finally.
Oh goodness. See, I do not follow NFL at all.
Yeah.
At all. But it's one of those things I've never had time for. I think obviously van life is all encompassing, but soccer and creating content about soccer and the joy that it brings me, as inconsistent as I am, is very time consuming. You guys know that. Even
Yeah.
the stuff that's fun, you're like, oh geez, if I have to
Yeah.
listen to my own voice. Do you guys
Oh,
are
yeah.
you guys gonna go back and listen to this at all?
I personally get very self-conscious listening to my voice. I don't know if Tommy.
You've got a good deep one. You've got a good deep voice though. For me, it's like I think of that I'm talking normally, and then I'll go back and listen, and you'll hear me say, "So I think that the Apple Plus numbers, like, I just don't really." Ugh, I can't do it. May I get just internet famous enough one day to have a very eager video editor?
Yeah.
Just let him do that, or her, they, them.
Right. Yeah.
Let whoever can understand
Take
the
care of that
complexity
for
that
you,
is me do it. Yeah. Ugh. Okay, that's all. If you don't shut me up now, I'm never gonna leave. You got.
No, appreciate you coming on. Hey, this was a lot of fun. How can people find you online?
Yes, I am at BTWN Clean Sheets on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube between Clean Sheets. X, we have no idea how much longer we will be on that app. I literally say we because I feel like it's the question everybody's asking themselves. But I had some real banger tweets there, so I need to like download my archive first before I make any rash decisions. But yeah, and then I do a podcast that I've got a couple episodes I'm finishing editing right now. The one with Andrew Vasiliadis is great, but it's a lot of just decompressing after events and talking through the ins and outs of what it means to live on the road specifically for soccer. So that's wherever you get your podcasts. I'm around. I'm online. I'm chronically online.
And like I said earlier, really appreciate the content you put out on a regular basis, and I'm sure a lot more is to come in 2025, and I'm sure a lot of people will be looking forward to seeing it.
Yes, and when I am in Atlanta, my Instagram bio will say where I am, probably Twitter bio as well. But if you see a peach, if it says Georgia, like holler at me. I'll take any recommendations, any ideas, any pickup, any volunteer opportunity. Do you need a ride in the van? I gave a girl from the training staff of the Vancouver Whitecaps, I helped her pick up furniture and deliver it to her house when I was in Vancouver. Like, I will do that. I have the time. You just have to agree to be in like a vlog or something.
Yeah.
So,
no, but
for
absolutely. When you're in Atlanta, we'll definitely connect and definitely try to do some content together. But loved having you on. Appreciate chatting with you over the past few minutes, and definitely we'll talk again soon.
Awesome.
If you need human contact, let us know. You're welcome to join us whenever. Maybe we'll send you a link to our holiday party on Wednesday if you'd like to stop by and say hi.
Oh yeah, with your trivia.
Yeah.
I don't know what the trivia is.
Still working on the trivia.
You already got the bells ready.
Figure it out. All right, guys. I'm leaving. I'm going.
Well, stick around because we have a little post-credit thing we do.
Oh, that's where it usually goes downhill with me.
But we'll kind of head out here and then just kind of chat a little longer while the credits roll. Have you seen Marvel movies, by the way? You know the drill with Marvel movies.
That I need to wait until the very end of the credits?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Sort of similar with our programming here. So.
Which I appreciate because I am like cinema snob. You need to be there for all the trailers and all the credits, everything.
Except when it comes to Ted Lasso. Which is
I'm
not
never
a
gonna
movie.
get there.
Which is
I'm
not
never
a
gonna
movie.
get there. I'm saving
get
the
there.
show for retirement.
Well,
I'll have time when I retire.
Right.
I don't know how long this music's gonna go, but have you seen? I know you're at home right now. Have you seen Home Alone 3?
No, there's a third one?
Ah, there's like 6.
Yeah.
That's too many Home Alone. How many times can you be Home Alone?
Well, it's
That's- I
different
keep-
kids.
I keep telling my
Macaulay Culkin's like
Also-
60 now, so.
how many neglectful parents are out there?
I know.
Well, this one, the kid had chicken pox. Okay, spoiler. I know this movie came out like 20 years ago.
Kind of a brat.
Yeah, I'm never gonna
Or
watch
30
that.
years ago.
That is
30 years
He's
ago?
kind of a brat.
The kid
No,
was a
the kid-
brat. Are you implying that he deserved his chickenpox?
Well, no. Not as bad as Kevin. Kevin was.
Answer me now.
Real
It's going on the next pod.
Yeah.
Well, you watch that, and if you'd like, you could come on the Christmas Christmas holiday, whatever you want to call it, special, and give us your review of Home Alone 3 if you're bored.
Okay.
If you're bored tonight.
I don't know. I might tune into the Falcons and see pro football. I still have never been to an NFL game either, and I'm trying to decide which stadium should be my first.
Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
I always plan my weekends that way. I go to the Atlanta United game on Saturday, I fly in, and then Sunday I go to the Falcons, and then I go home on Monday.
I could do that. I could tailgate with the van. That's probably the easiest solution.
We'll
I mean,
work
I
on
have.
it.
Yeah, I'll be in touch. Gotta wait till the schedule comes out.
Absolutely.
While you're watching Home Alone, think about the logistics. Home Alone 3. Don't watch 1 or 2. Watch 3. We'll get back
I've
to it.
seen 1 plenty. We actually have a guy in our fantasy league whose aunt was in the original Home Alone.
Oh.
And so,
What?
yeah, Jake Zivin, former guest of yours, is in my fantasy league. And the one guy that's brought us all together is named Rocky, and Rocky's aunt was in Home Alone as the cashier at the grocery store.
Oh.
And so every year we always wish a specific Merry Christmas to her in our family group chat. In our fantasy group chat. What is wrong with me? Oh my
That's
gosh.
pretty cool, though. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Claim to fame.
Yeah. Well, and actually what I should have told at the very beginning here was very, very long story short. If you want to hear the full story, it's on my YouTube. But going to Rocky's wedding that Jake was also at with his wife is how I met Rocky's uncle, who helped me do my entire van build out free of charge.
Wow.
Wow.
It was wild the way it worked out.
Small
And I
world.
thought, I was like, I haven't been winning fantasy in like the 10 years I've done it, but I feel like I really lucked out here. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, crazy. It was crazy.
Absolutely.
Wait, what's the big twist? What's the big Marvel twist we're getting?
That was it.
I wasn't prepared for a legit one.
Jim Curtin has been announced as coach. No, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say.
That's
Emergency
one thing
podcast
I
too.
literally could never do. I can't break down that sort of stuff, because if you had told me what's his name, see, I can't even remember his freaking name, the new US soccer head coach.
Oh,
And-
Pochettino.
Pochettino. I was about to say pancetta, but that's a type of cheese, right?
Yeah. Cheese or water,
Golly.
whatever.
This is when men call me stupid on the internet, sometimes I'm like, you right.
Oh.
But I'm a very deep thinker in other ways, and I feel like I can, at least when I'm watching soccer, I can see it and enjoy it. But if you had to tell me like, oh, do you think you could guess who might be the next coach? How was I supposed to guess that guy?
Right?
You know? I don't know who he is.
Pick a name
And
out of
anyone who
that.
says it, like, yeah, I'm like, anyone who gives their like immediate thoughts on it, I'm like, you don't know this guy.
It's like the draft. Like,
Yeah.
you're like 5 or 6 rounds in, and you're like talking about, oh, he's a great player, terrific team. Like, how do you know? You probably have never watched 1 second of his game.
Literally, the scout was
Like-
probably over the game that they flew out to watch this dude in one time at halftime, and then lackadaisically watched the reel in his
Right.
office.
Yeah.
Or what was I don't know if it was a specific phenomenon for MLS or even American soccer, but having like owners of teams see some dude's stat on what's that soccer stat website? What's it called?
FB Ref?
Maybe
Prop Bob?
something like that. Having some owner be like, well, this dude looked pretty good this past week. Can someone look into him? And you're like, well, that's the dude with the most money here, so I guess I gotta go sign that guy because he told me to.
Right.
Which, if that was the case, then maybe Arthur Blank knows ball really well. Maybe he's the one that has been truly behind the success instead of just throwing the money. Because we know it wasn't Carlos Bocanegra for sure.
It's a whole nother episode. All right.
Yeah, I know you guys got to go. I'm sorry. Can you tell I'm starved for human contact? I've got things to
Home
do
Alone
too,
3.
okay?
Home Alone 3. The greatest Home Alone movie of all time.
Debatable.
Sure.
Well, she's going to tell us on Wednesday. We send her the link, and she's going to give us her 3-page essay.
Right.
I'm actually going to be out of office that day. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, if you want, you could do like one of those things where you tape your review, and we'll be like pre-recorded message.
Special guest appearance.
We'll only play if it's about Home Alone 3.
Okay.
All right, hit end now. We
All right.
gotta end this.
See you guys.
Bye.